Hi guys, my name is Deep. For those of you who don't know me, I've been in broadcast for about 18 years. I'm a voiceover artist and a radio show presenter. And today I'll be testing these two mics for you. They're both from the brand Samson. This is the Q2U, which is for those of you who are on a tighter budget. If those of you looking for a professional home recording microphone, but without all the hassles of a sound card and all of that, we have the big guy, the G-Track Pro, which is a USB condenser mic. Let's get started with unpacking these two microphones. Full disclosure, I have been provided these microphones by Galaxy Digital, who are the importers, but I'm not being paid for this review, and they have not attempted to influence my opinions in any way. So what you'll hear is what I really think of these microphones. Now let's start with the little guy, which is the Q2U. Okay, nice packaging actually. This is the retail box, so if you buy it, this is what you get. Oh, this is really sturdy packaging. Alright, nice. Okay. There we have the microphone and protective bubble wrap. For those of you who are familiar with microphones, this should look very, very familiar. This looks very much like a Shure SM58. In fact, let's find out. Yes, it is in fact exactly like an SM58, and there's felt inside here, which I guess could kind of act like a pop filter, but not really. What it's going to do is stop you from spitting on the microphone's diaphragm, which can be, well, destructive. What else do we get in the box? We get we do get I guess they call these things, I don't know what they call them, we just call them condoms sometimes. Okay, so let's put this little guy on here, and yeah, so that blocks out a bit of wind noise, and it blocks out what the sounds that are called plosives. So on syllables like p, p, where air is very forcefully ejected from the mouth, you don't get that sound, or at least you don't get so much of it. Alright, so that's your mic. This is alright, so this is a very nice it's kind of tight. I'm not going to bother with that right now. Okay, there's more. Oh, it's a handy dandy, very cute looking little stand if you want to place this on a table. And then we have you have a couple of cables in here. This is your standard, it's an XLR connector, and this is your USB cable. Now if you look at the back of the microphone there, so you have your XLR connector here, and you have a USB port here. This is for the mini USB, which is this, and that's quite a reasonably long cable. So the idea is the mini USB goes in the back like so. This plugs directly into your computer, and you start up your software, whatever you're using to record. I use SoundForge. A lot of people I know use Audacity, which is a great free software, and you can just get started recording. Okay, so that is the Q2U. Okay, let's move on now to the, oh man, this is heavy stuff. Okay, this is the G-Track Pro, and if they put Pro in the name, we all know what that means. It's better, it's bigger, and it's heavier. Alright, this is, whoa. Okay, this is seriously heavy. Alright, what do we got? Wow, alright. That's a lot of stuff in a little box. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Holy cow, look at that. That is the G-Track Pro. That is a massive microphone, and I have got to say, this looks like something out of Star Wars actually. R2-D2 on performance enhancing drugs. Okay, what else do we get with this? So we have our USB cable, of course. This is not mini USB. This is a USB connector that's used by a lot of microphone companies actually. But so this plugs into the bottom of the microphone. Every time I say bottom, I'm reminded of those little yellow guys. Okay, there's some fancy stuff in the back. There is a headphone socket. So you can plug in, this is for a 1/8 inch connector. You can plug in your headphones and use it for your zero latency monitoring and stuff like that. There is also another line in. This, I believe, is good for an instrument like a guitar. So if you want to plug in a guitar, if you're a singer-songwriter, you want to be Joan Baez or Bob Dylan or whatever, you can play and record yourself singing and playing the guitar all at the same time, which is great. Got a whole bunch of switches in the front. This controls your mic levels. That's the instrument level, so you can do a bit of mixing here. And that is your volume, which is for your monitoring, which is for the headphones. Okay. There's also a mute switch here. And this switch here selects if you're gonna record to mono or to 2-track. Okay. So if you record to 2-track, I think it can record the instrument on one channel and the voice on the other. Alright, there is also a pickup pattern switch right here. Now for those of you who don't know what is a pickup pattern, now this is what's called a dynamic mic, okay? But this is, we all know it says Pro on the box, so this is more Pro. It's a condenser mic, more sensitive, picks up things like highs and all of that a little better. But these microphones have definite pickup patterns. So the usual pickup pattern that's mostly used is something called cardioid. Now, what a cardioid pickup pattern is it'll pick up more of what's in front of the mic and kind of try and disregard what's behind or at the sides. It's not like if you've got a crying baby behind the mic, it's not going to pick it up, but maybe it'll be a little less prominent. So there are three options here. You put the switch in the center, it becomes a cardioid pickup pattern. You push it to the right and it becomes an omnidirectional mic, so it's going to pick up absolutely everything. I wouldn't use that unless you want to record a room full of people. Okay, and there's also a figure 8, which can be very useful for things like interviews. So it's going to pick up stuff that's in front and stuff that's at the back, but not so much stuff that's on the side. So if you're interviewing a person, you can put this in the center, set the pickup pattern to figure 8, and both of you can talk and it'll pick up beautifully. You can record to 2-track if you want. It's probably going to record, I don't know, 2 people on 2 different tracks. But there's no point talking about a microphone unless we can figure out what the microphone sounds like. It's time for a sound check. So the sound you've been hearing in the video so far is from my little Rode Video Micro, which is sitting on top of my camera over there. But we're going to do an A/B comparison of these mics, and as the sort of standard, I'm going to use my Rode NT USB. I've been using this for years, which is why it's covered with dust, or at least the pop filter is. But it's a good mic, it's good enough for broadcast, but can the Samsung mics measure up to this? Now for that, we're going to have to listen to audio from 3 of these microphones. I'm going to cut to audio from the Rode NT USB in 3, 2, 1.
To Sherlock Holmes, she is always the woman. I have seldom heard him mention her under any other name. In his eyes, she eclipses and predominates the whole of her sex. It was not that he felt any love. It was not that he felt any emotion akin to love for Irene Adler. All emotions, and that one particularly, were abhorrent to his cold, precise, but admirably balanced mind.
Alright, now we've got the Q2U plugged in. I'm going to read the same passage and let's see what the Q2U sounds like.
To Sherlock Holmes, she is always the woman. I have seldom heard him mention her under any other name. In his eyes, she eclipses and predominates the whole of her sex. It was not that he felt any emotion akin to love for Irene Adler. All emotions, and that one particularly, were abhorrent to his cold, precise, but admirably balanced mind.
Now you've got to be a little careful when you're recording with the G-Track Pro. There's a gain control right here and you do not want to set it all the way up. Whatever software you're using to record, you should be monitoring the levels in that software. Make sure you don't clip. Nothing should be going into the red or hitting 0. Okay. Usually in digital, if your signal is a little soft, it's possible to make it louder without much of a problem. But if you record too loud and you clip a signal, then there's pretty much nothing that can be done to fix it. Okay, so the G-Track Pro, and what does it actually sound like? Here we go.
To Sherlock Holmes, she is always the woman. I have seldom heard him mention her under any other name. In his eyes, she eclipses and predominates the whole of her sex. It was not that he felt any emotion akin to love for Irene Adler. All emotions, and that one particularly, were abhorrent to his cold, precise, but admirably balanced mind.
So you heard all three mics. What are my conclusions? Now, for around 16,000 rupees, the Rode and USB still represents tremendous value. But the tiny little Samson Q2U is a very serious challenger. Not least because it's priced at only around 7,000 rupees, which is less than half of what this guy costs on Amazon. This is of course a dynamic mic, which means it's not going to have the kind of crispy highs and that tremendous clarity that both these condenser mics have. But in spite of that, I would say that it's good enough even for broadcast. If you're just doing a few voiceovers or you started a YouTube channel and you just want to do some voice work, this is more than enough for that. Now, for those of you who just have to record an instrument, yes, the G-Track Pro is a great option. However, I would not recommend that mic for anybody who is not sure what they're doing, because the one thing the Rode NT-USB comes with is a pop filter. The G-Track Pro does not, and my experience suggests it's very easy to mess up with that microphone if your technique is just a tiny bit off. It's a very, very sensitive mic. Of course, it's a condenser mic. It's got a slightly warmer sound signature than the Rode NT-USB. Voices sound like they have a little more of the low end. They sound a little more full, if you know what I mean. But still, the wonderful clarity that a condenser mic can provide. So if you can afford it, and if you're convinced that you really need it, go for the G-Track Pro. But otherwise, I would say, if the choice is between these two mics and you're not really a very, very serious voiceover person or a musician, if you're just doing this casually, this is more than enough. So the little guy here, we could call it a giant killer.